Good evening and welcome to Mindful Vespers here at the Southwest Mission. My name is Matthew. I'm the priest here with Greg on the keys and many other various instruments. And this is our midweek communal practice, exploring the intersections of music, mindfulness, and mystery. Tonight we'll be exploring the theme of hanging out with your hangups, what it means to explore those things that irritate you in a small way as a gateway to exploring both some of those things we've talked about in the past weeks, the default mode network, the ways that language can both imprison us and also be a tool for liberation. But mostly it's a time to just be together, to practice wherever you're at on your journey, whether you have a developed meditation practice or nothing at all. To be here as you are, where you're at, to use the language that works for you in terms of taking your next steps spiritually and in your practice. So thanks again for being with us tonight, and I'm going to turn it over to Greg, who will be our main leader tonight. So, Greg, take it away.
Yeah. So we're gonna play with some exploration of pet peeves tonight, and the reason we're gonna do this is because we've sort of been playing around with these ideas of false self and true self and what that means. There's different languages for it in the different traditions. That false self, true self is more of a Christian contemplative language, or at least that's where I think Matthew has encountered it the most. Sometimes Buddhism talks about no self, that our idea that we have this continuous self that is the same always is a bit of an illusion. And I think practically speaking, there isn't a whole lot of difference between these. I don't know. Maybe we could get into really deep theology and people have opinions about it. But I think what's fun about pet peeves is that I feel like when you notice a pet peeve, you know, it's one of those things, right? A pet peeve. How would you define it? It's something that just gets you, that annoys you, that somebody else has done, and you're just torn up about it. And when you look at it later, you're a little bit like, oftentimes I think if we're in a good place, right? You look at it and you're like, that's so ridiculous. So here's one of mine, right? I have this huge pet peeve when somebody puts something in my family on the bathroom counter that looks similar to a tube of toothpaste but isn't. It just, oh man, it gets me so much. And I think about it later and I'm like, come on, like, am I really gonna be so unmindful and so out of it that I'm gonna take like my son's eczema medicine and like stick it on my toothbrush? And you know, like, that's not gonna happen. And the way that I feel in that moment, that just like gripping tight as the tightest fist, I know that is not my true self. I know that is not who I really am and want to be. Richard Rohr says that anytime you feel offended, you know you're in your false self. And I love that. It's just so true. When you're never at your best self when you're offended. And when we sit and we find that version of us, that version of not us, that understanding that is a thing that our ego is constructing for good survival reasons that served us really well on the plains when we were running away from tigers, but like in the 21st century, just mostly makes us neurotic, you know? So anyway, we're gonna play with that tonight, and we're gonna do it in kind of three movements here. We're gonna start with a practice of just finding your comfort, doing whatever you need to do tonight to arrive, to sink in. It's great to do this with a set of headphones because we use the music here as an object of meditation. So you can really focus on the details of the sound at every moment, like your ears are these perfect microphones, just taking it in without labels, just with sensation. So we'll do a few minutes of that, just finding our comfort, and then I want you to pick something. It could be a pet peeve. It could be one of those pet peeves. Matthew's got a thing with people chewing. I think that's what he's gonna work on. He's been telling me about this, and I love it. I just love to keep pushing him on it a little bit. And you can pick something if something doesn't come up for you, something else that stirs up some of that feeling in you. Be gentle with yourself. If you are not in a place to go somewhere deep tonight, don't do that. This is an exercise just like running is an exercise, and if your knee were hurting, you shouldn't go running that day. So be careful with yourself, modify as needed. But sort of the second part of our practice, we'll kind of dive into that. We're going to let it drop into us. We try to do the same practice through the music. So we'll let it drop into us, and we'll be playing some, a little bit fast-paced, angsty music in that time, just to watch how it stirs up and to allow it to be there. Tara Brach uses the term investigate in that point, and she says it's not an intellectual investigation, it's a somatic, it's a bodily investigation. Let those feelings percolate and drop in and feel where are they? What do you notice about them? And allow them to be there. And then we'll close with some compassion work, because we need that. We need that for ourselves. We need that for others. And it really is such an important tool in, you have to have an ego before you can destroy an ego, in a sense, is the way I like to think of it sometimes. You have to spend some time really caring for and loving yourself and others. And when you do that, you realize the connections that are between all of us. You realize that we all need compassion. You realize how much you genuinely want yourself and others to be happy. So we're really not going to talk much the rest of the time. We're just going to go through these 3 movements. Find your comfort, investigate, and then bring compassion. And I'll drop in a few words here and there, but mostly we're going to let our music do the talking. We're going to practice ourselves and invite you to join us. You can certainly join the Zoom link if you want to do that, or join us after the practice for a discussion time on Zoom. Again, headphones would be great. Anything you need to feel comfortable. If you want to go get a blanket right now, if you need a cup of tea, whatever you do. Matthew's been talking about how his comfort comes through playing the trumpet. So that's where he's headed right now. And here we go. We'll begin our practice. This might be a good time to bring a hand to your heart, if that feels comfortable to you. To remember that you really want yourself to be well and to be happy and to be free from suffering. And if that feels difficult for you, imagine how a good friend would feel toward you, or you feel towards them, that you truly desire their well-being.
Thanks again for joining us tonight for Mindful Vespers. And it looks like there's a little bit of sound trouble, which happens with all the Zoom stuff. We're on the cusp of not having to deal with Zoom anymore, but we appreciate your presence even if you couldn't hear anything. That's the height of enlightenment, that you kept going and meditated on your own even when circumstances pet peeved you or hung you up. But we hope that you'll stick around for our Zoom conversation, or if you're joining us later in the week or later in the year, that you are able to connect with us through our Facebook page, Mindful Vespers at Southwich Mission, or at southwichmission.org/mindfulvespers. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear suggestions of folks we could bring in for guest practitioners, or even types of practices you'd love to engage. We hope very soon we'll be in person here at the Mission, where we can all be together in the same space, as well as online. But thanks again to Greg for leading our practice tonight, and thanks to John for heading up Zoom tonight. We'll see you again next week on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Thanks, and have a wonderful week. Peace be with you.